What is up, guys? RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I am reviewing WWE Friday Night SmackDown. Overall, this show was pretty good, sort of average. I thought it was maybe a little better than what we generally see on Friday Night SmackDown, but it was just pretty good. Some matches were good, some were not, so I'm going to go ahead and get to the review. First match we have is Mr. Money in the Bank for SmackDown versus Mr. Money in the Bank for Monday Night Raw. Damien Sandow versus Randy Orton. This match was probably one of the better ones. Definitely one of the longer ones. It was really good, back and forth from both guys. The ending was pretty good, interesting too. So towards the middle of the match, Randy Orton slams Damien Sandow on his back on the barricade on the outside of the ring. Then Damien Sandow later in the match hits a side Russian leg sweep with the elbow of disdain for a near fall. And then we see a vintage Orton countered. And then here comes Cody Rhodes coming down the entrance ramp, walks beside the ring, picks up the blue briefcase for Sandow ringside, takes it with him. Sandow's wondering what is he doing. He looks up, gets distracted, gives time for Randy Orton to recover from the elbow of disdain, and then Randy Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere for the 1-2-3. Randy Orton wins via pinfall via the RKO, and Cody Rhodes' distraction, I guess, helped him some too. But that was an interesting part of the match. Helps build this storyline and progress it for the feud for Sandow versus Cody Rhodes. So good match and good way to progress it. So yeah. Next thing we have is CM Punk comes out, just talks on the microphone about how he's not scared of Brock Lesnar again. Then here comes how he's going to beat Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. And then here comes Fandango down the entrance ramp, just dancing, gets in the ring. And then right when he gets in the ring, CM Punk picks him up and delivers the go to sleep, the GTS on Fandango, takes him out. And that's basically the end of the segment. Good way to do it. I thought it was pretty funny. And yeah. So good stuff there. Next match we have is Mark Henry and the Usos versus Wade Barrett and the Primetime Players. 3-on-3 match. Going in, you knew this was gonna be this was very predictable. You knew who was going to win. It was definitely gonna be Mark Henry and the Usos because they're most likely gonna be in a match versus the Shield in 3-on-3 action at SummerSlam. Not guaranteed, but that's probably what it was looking like. So you knew who's going to win most likely going in. Basically what happens is later in the match, this match only lasted 4 or 5 minutes. The Usos deliver big kicks, super kicks to Wade Barrett and I think it might have been Darren Young. Yes, it was Darren Young. And then leaves Mark Henry to deliver the world's strongest slam on Titus O'Neil for the 1-2-3. Mark Henry wins here with the Usos. Okay match. I guess it gives them momentum and makes them look strong, kinda, I guess, but whatever. Okay there. Nothing great, nothing too exciting, but it was cool, I guess. I don't know. I mean, next thing we have is Rob Van Dam and Alberto Del Rio backstage. Del Rio says since Cena got to choose his competitor for SummerSlam to go up against his title, Del Rio's talking to Vicky Guerrero, the GM of SmackDown. He says it's only fair that I get to pick my opponent. She said, fair enough. I'll give you a week to decide who you want to pick, and that'll be announced next week or something like that, I think. And then Rob Van Dam confronts Del Rio and says he should pick him, and then does the Rob Van Dam right in his face. Del Rio just kind of shrugs it off, and that's about the end of that segment. Then you have Damien Sandow backstage looking for Cody Rhodes, who took his SmackDown Money in the Bank briefcase, stole it from ringside during the Sandow Orton match, and nowhere to be found. Sandow gets angry, and then he just asks a bunch of random people backstage. No one knows where he is, and that's basically it. next thing we have is Rob Van Dam versus Alberto Del Rio. This match was short and disappointing, but the outcome was not disappointing in my opinion. Basically what happens is Rob Van Dam at the beginning of the match throws Del Rio over the ropes, takes him out, and Del Rio's about to get in the ring numerous times, but jumps off the ring apron before Rob Van Dam can hit him, and then the count stops and then goes again. And then it's just sort of that happens twice. Then Del Rio gets in the ring, goes for a punch, misses, and RVD hits a spin kick on Del Rio in the corner. Then Alberto Del Rio speaking Spanish to the ref, like no mas, no mas, I mean no more, obviously. And then the ref says, I don't understand you, Alberto. And then right when RVD's arguing with the ref because he's trying to hit Del Rio, the ref tells him to stop, and that distracts RVD. And then Del Rio delivers the big old super kick right to RVD's skull, and then pins him for the 1-2-3. Alberto Del Rio wins via his kind of, I guess now almost like his finisher really, with his super kick instead of the cross arm breaker. But okay match, cool ending I think because I'm a Del Rio fan and that's who I wanted to win. But I like the ending, so yeah, we'll see who Del Rio chooses next week for his #1 contender. Next thing we have is backstage again. Sandow looking for Rhodes. He runs into Henry and Booker T backstage. Sandow asks Henry. Henry says it's wrong what Rhodes did, but he's not going to tell him because he's not a snitch. Then he asks Booker T. Booker T says something back to him, and he's like, "Well, you were the SmackDown GM. What do you think?" And then he took that offensively, saying former. And then Mark Henry had to hold him back. But that was a funny segment, I thought. And basically what happens. Then we have the AJ State of Mind segment. She comes out with Big E and just talks about how she's stable and how she's not crazy since breaking up with Dolph Ziggler, and she's perfectly fine. And she has Dolph Ziggler's keys to his house, which is sort of weird, but I guess it's part of the gimmick when they were dating. Then Ziggler comes out and just shrugs everything. She turns off. She says she's got a suitcase. She takes out his wallet, cuts up his passport, cuts up his cash, and cuts up his driver's license. And then he says all those things can be replaced, blah, 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 shrugs him off, insults AJ with some comebacks like she's not the only woman he's ever dated, blah, blah, blah. He can move on and he's just fine is basically what he's saying. And she kind of panics and loses her mind and starts having a fit, and then runs out of the ring. Out of nowhere, Kaylen comes running down the entrance ramp, spears AJ, takes her out. Then Big E's trying to make sure AJ's okay. Dolph Ziggler runs down the ring and then hits the leg drop bulldog on Big E, takes Big E out, so it makes Ziggler look tough and Kaylen look tough too. That they took out AJ and Big E, so it looks like we're going to have another Kaylen AJ match at SummerSlam, most likely for the Divas title, and probably a Dolph Ziggler Big E match, which should be interesting. So good stuff there. The next match we have, I guess it isn't a match. It was like a segment again. Or no, it's actually a match. Sorry, guys. Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, the Wyatt family debut. Not Bray Wyatt, just Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Basically a squash match against the Tons of Funk to give Rowan and Harper some momentum, make them look strong and tough, and give them some momentum since entering the WWE for their in-ring debut. Tons of Funk. They basically get tossed around the whole match. Luke Harper delivers a big old running clothesline, and then Eric Rowan hits a splash, and then on Tenzai, and Rowan pins him for the 1-2-3, and it's basically it. Then here comes Bray Wyatt. He comes in, delivers the Sister Abigail on Tenzai, and then or the STO, and that's basically it. The Wyatt family look over them as they're both down, Brodus Clay and Tenzai, and that's basically the end of the match. But it was alright, I guess, debut. I would have liked to see a longer match, but I was expecting a squash match here, and a tag team contest. I wasn't expecting Bray Wyatt to actually be in the match, just Rowan and Harper. But good stuff. Okay, I guess. Then the next thing we have is Christian versus Jack Swagger in the final match of the night. This match was pretty good. I was expecting Christian to win, most likely, even though I wanted Swagger. Uh, but Antonio Cesaro was not here again, as he was not there on main events. It's a little odd to me, being that they're the real Americans. Where is Antonio Cesaro? I mean, it's sort of odd, but Zeb Coulter was there, I guess. Swagger, basically what happens is he gets beat up most of the match. He gets a little offense in, from what I heard from Michael Cole talking about the WWE app. He said that while we were away, Swagger got in some offense or something like that. So I guess he did, but I didn't see that because I don't have the WWE app. But Christian dumps Jack Swagger over the top rope at one point in the match. Then he tries to hit the kill switch a couple of times. Swagger counters that. Then you have basically you have the sunset flip on Jack Swagger for a near fall. Then Swagger's running at Christian, who's in the corner of the turnbuckles. Christian moves out of the way. Swagger hits his shoulder on the steel ring post, and then that sets Jack Swagger up to be put in the kill switch. Christian delivers the kill switch and pins Jack Swagger for the 1-2-3. Christian wins here, gives him some momentum, and who knows what we'll see at SummerSlam, but I've got a feeling, but I won't say. But should be interesting. Then we have the final thing of the night, which is a segment with Damien Sandow. Comes out, talks about where his briefcase is. Cody Rhodes appears on satellite. They're in Corpus Christi, Texas, near the Gulf of Mexico. He's like right by this lake or water or whatever it is, by the water, I guess, which is literally right across from the arena. Damien Sandow runs out of the arena, and there's Cody Rhodes across the street, right next to the water. And Cody Rhodes, Damien Sandow begs him, says that his mustache is better than Damien Sandow's facial hair, and just kisses up to Cody Rhodes and tells him all these things he wants to hear so he won't toss his briefcase in the water. Rhodes does it anyway, and Sandow goes nuts and then jumps in the water. The briefcase that's floating with his contract, it sinks, and then he screams for help, and because he can't swim, and then he gets out of the water and then basically just lays down and ends up crying towards the end, and that's basically it, the end of the show. Really good segment here, really memorable stuff. We'll remember this for a while now. It'll be one of those funny segments that a lot of people remember for years to come. And I thought it was pretty good. It definitely progresses the storyline or feud with Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow. I hope we get that match at SummerSlam. Almost positive we will. Should be good. Overall grade, I give SmackDown 6 out of 10. Pretty good show, not bad. And yeah, so check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks, guys.